Now we're switching gears now, still talking about security, but this time not in Edo State, across the country. How did we fare when it came to security matters in 2024? Please watch this.
Is a mixture of the good, the bad, and the ugly in Nigeria's security sector. In the first 4 months of the year, 93 conflict incidents were recorded across 25 states. The SBM Intelligence, an Africa-focused market security intel gathering consulting firm, also reported that Nigerians paid over 1 billion naira as ransom to kidnappers between July 2023 and June 2024. It also added that in the space of 1 year, at least over 7,500 Nigerians were abducted in 1,130 incidents across Nigeria, with bandits demanding almost 11 billion naira for ransoms. Of the 1,130 kidnap cases reported, Zamfara leads in the number of incidents. Kaduna recorded 113 incidents with 1,113 persons kidnapped, while Katsina recorded 119 incidents.
When the federal government removed subsidy on petroleum and when it floated the naira, the entire economy was affected. And that means more people lost their jobs. The unemployment rate increased, the poverty level also increased. Now that predisposed more people to crime.
The Nigerian army also suffered tragedy. On March 14th, 17 soldiers were killed in Okoma community in Ogeli South local government area of Delta State. According to the defense headquarters, they were killed during an operation against illegal oil bunkering in the area. They were later buried on March 27, 2024, according to military tradition. 8 persons were declared wanted in connection to the killings, and 5 persons have been arrested, including 3 community leaders. So far, not much have been heard about the incident. Across different fronts, security agencies battled armed non-state actors to defend the country's territorial integrity and maintain internal peace and order. While the Northeast witnessed a relative peace, the emergence of a new terrorist group, the Lakurawa, unleashed mayhem on citizens in the Northwest region. The group claimed responsibility for explosions that rocked 2 villages in the first week of December in Dansadao district, Maru local government area of Zamfara state, that left at least 12 people dead.
From my own perspective, failure of governance, failure of intelligence. It's only in a country like this that you can hear that such magnitude of insecurity body is somewhere operating within the 4 walls of your country and nobody's reporting it. For months, for years. It means that the security in that general aspect failed completely.
However, a military airstrike on Christmas Day left many of the insurgents killed. President Bola Tinubu has continued to assure of his administration's commitment to tackling insecurity. The president recently approved a new terms and conditions for the armed forces men and officers.
It will translate to more efficiency, more services, more welfare to the officers.
The chief of defense staff also promised the defeat of the Lakurawa group.
Lakurawas are on the run. They're on the run. We're after them and we're pursuing them all over.
Meanwhile, the year 2024 is one the Nigerian army cannot forget in a hurry, following the death of the first chief of army staff to be appointed by President Bola Tinubu, Lieutenant General Taurid Lagbaja. Both the president and vice president Kashim Shettima attended the burial of the former army chief at a military cemetery in Abuja. President Tinubu described late Lieutenant General Lagbaja as a trusted advisor whose formidable intellect and breadth of knowledge served the nation well. But as the business of security must continue, the president appointed a new chief of army staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, who has since assumed office. As the year 2024 rounds off and 2025 begins, Experts say the challenges of insecurity require more investments in both security hardware and manpower.
I'm hoping that the National Assembly will strengthen its capacity for oversight in the security sector in 2025. We are in a democracy, and the checks and balances that democracies allow is embedded within the legislative arm.
However, it does appear that President Bola Tinubu has heeded this caution as he projects to spend more money on security in his 2025 budget.
We have significantly increased the funding for the military, paramilitary, and police forces to secure the nation, protect our borders, and consolidate government control over every inch of our national territory.
If the president's words of assurance are anything to hold on to, Nigeria may witness improved security in the coming year and beyond, which could also impact food security and attract more foreign investments into the country. Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
Thank you, Emperor, for that reporting and joining us to expand on those conversations about security in Nigeria in 2024, and also looking at what lessons have been learned from a lot of the things that happen. What are we changing? What are we doing differently? What should we do differently in 2025? We have in the studio Colonel Yomi Dare, retired, former Director of Nigerian Army Legal Services. Thank you so much for being with us on Sunrise Daily.
Thank you, Kela. Thank you for having me.
And joining us online via Zoom, we have Oyemen Ohidiave. I hope I got it correctly. Forgive me if I didn't. The CEO of August I Group is a security consultant to join us from Texas. Good morning.
Good morning. It's always a pleasure.
Let's start off. Let me start off with you, Mr. Oyemen. Listening to that report, you know, it did bring frowns on a lot of faces, even here in the studio. And that's because, you know, we remember these things as they happened last year. What didn't we get right? What was the loophole that caused a lot of these situations to escalate in 2024?
I hope my audio is perfect. Now, the issues that we face in Nigeria is that we just keep going round in circles. When I say we're going round in circles, is that there's no sustainability on any of the wonderful ideas that we have initiated and put in place. Now, when we have a new chief of army staff, new service chiefs come on board, we start all over again. When we have a new Inspector General of Police, we start all over again. The Police Service Commission just permitted out Mr. Arase and brought in another person. We start all over again. Even the Oga that is in the studio there, my boss, Colonel, he has come to the studio so many times. So who is harvesting information from the media, from interviews of professionals and expert guests? So we go round and round and round in circles, and we keep making the same mistakes. That is the annoying part of it.
He did mention that issue, Colonel Yomi, the sustainability of the conversations, because you've been here so many times. I see our security consultants in this country on Al Jazeera, on CNN, on BBC. I see them talking, giving all kinds of security advice, and we do that as well for our country. But he says the sustainability, it feels like we keep going around in circles, saying the same things over and over again. Is that what you find that we're doing?
Amen has spoken well. Once again, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I want to believe that it's going to be a better year, you know, to 2025. Now, looking back, in my opinion, I think the dynamics have changed. The dynamics have changed. You see, we see a situation whereby there has been some improvement. You know, the military has upped its games, you know, and so also other security agencies. they have upped their game. And I want to believe that it's not going to be business as usual. Right now, their efforts, for example, you can feel the military presence, and other security agencies, especially on our highways. I particularly, about a week ago, I noticed, armed military patrols.
If the military and other security agencies have upped their game,
yes.
How did we get a new terrorist group in 2024? How are we unable to do anything in Zamfara? Just recently we saw, actually initially when they lifted the mining ban in Zamfara, we heard even the head of the miners there was very excited. Oh, we're going to continue our mining, is going to be fine. Then all of a sudden, a few days after, we're now hearing that, the bandits they've become a little bit more stubborn. They're sending us threatening letters. We do see that the military is doing what it can, not just the military, even the police. They're doing what they can in various theaters of war across the country. But we're not seeing a reduction. We're seeing that they're doing more. But it does feel like the threat is getting more as well. So it's that dynamic that many of us don't quite understand.
Don't forget our population in this country and the land, the land mass of Nigeria. You see, one major problem that we have and that needs to be addressed, and this will continue to communicate, to the government, is the issue of our border, because we have a very porous border. So there's need for us again to look into that sector, both the land, the sea, and then our air borders. So there's need for us, to put in more effort, more attention to this. Because we are talking about, the issue of the Zamfara. Where did they come from? In some places, it's just a free movement. You just walk across. And that shouldn't be. So we need to, fortify our borders. So that is what I think will be a game changer in this regard. Otherwise, all the efforts, will be worthless. But I must be very, very honest with you here. Because when you really look at it, I take, for example, last Christmas, I had friends who were able to hit the road, say traveling on the Kaduna-Abuja road. In the past, we couldn't do that. We couldn't do that, So this is commendable. So we must, try and commend the whatever little effort that we have been able to achieve.
I'm going to take it back to Mr. Omi, and you heard what he said. Is this a porous border issue, or is there more that's not being done?
Thank you very much. I want to go like this. Insecurity is a global challenge. Security is a national necessity. Security means you secure, you are proactive, you see ahead, you use some permutations to take some decisions and effectively impute those decisions. Insecurity means you are reacting to combat a situation that just woke up on you in a bright light. Now, if we want to look at border control, definitely insecurity can emanate within your country without crossing through your border. Now, recently we had a young man in the US here that drove his vehicle, his truck, into a large crowd and had explosives. He's even a US veteran. Now, he was radicalized, so supposedly, investigation is still going on, by the ISIS. Radicalization can take place through the internet, through the Facebook. Young people are being radicalized on terrorism through their phones, especially once they have data. Cells are being grown inside the country, and those cells are recruiting members of the country without bringing from outside the country. And these members of the country that are being recruited are radicalized and taught how to die for certain causes that are against the anti-country. Now, if you want to look at the system of governance, the military is not supposed to be on the road doing any kind of patrol. The military is supposed to intervene to sustain the efforts of paramilitary organizations or to protect territorial integrity. Now, our border system that we are talking about, people come from the border to enter so many other countries, even America. There are people that go through the ocean, some of them drown in the oceans, some find their way into Europe. Also, those countries also have good border system that we want to copy. But when you get into a country, your ability to abuse the criminal justice system, commit criminal activities, collect taxes from citizens, hoist your flag, and take control of certain part of that country is totally an institutional failure. Institutional failure on the part of criminal justice system, punitive measures to crime, institutional failure on the part of connotative alliances with religion or tribe to quickly cover up criminal activities of certain people, then criminal activities in political aggrandizement. Certain people that want to be godfathers, they cover some criminals to use them. Then if we talk of the Kaduna-Abuja road, I served in Kaduna for 9 years under the 1 Mechanized Infantry Division. Now, Asari Dokubo stood in front of the presidential villa, and he mentioned, and he has still mentioned it like 2 or 3 times, that he is the one having the contract to protect the Kaduna-Abuja road, a civilian, where we have the armed forces in the country. So if you look at all of these things, would you agree with me sincerely that our security institutions are giving us security, or they are fighting against insecurity? Those are 2 different things.
I'm going to come back to you. I'm going to give you an opportunity to respond to some of the things that he said, but also to bring the other dynamic, and that's something I've heard from the military, from the police, from paramilitary as well. And they say what you're saying. We're doing our best. We've upped our games. We're targeting these people. We're doing our best. But while we do our best, there's the non-kinetic bit of this arrangement that is being ignored. If there's massive poverty in the land, if people are unable to feed, you're basically creating fodder for these terrorist organizations to recruit them. We had stories of terrorist organizations distributing food in some communities, and we hear about communities that protect some of these criminal elements, and it's mostly because of financial gains that they may be getting from these people. So in answering that, could you talk a bit about that dynamic where the military is upping its kinetic bit of the agreement, but the non-kinetic bit is being ignored? We hear from a lot of military people say that aspect needs to be worked on.
Yeah, I quite agree with my brother that we also have internal issues, and which boils down to institutional failure. But again, I think if you look back to the 9 years he served in 1 division, and what was on the ground then, and you look at what we have right now, I think things have changed. And I do agree too that ideally the military are not supposed to be on the highways and all this. But again, when push comes to push, the military, apart from protecting the borders, the sovereignty of the country, they are also available to assist, in internal security. So it's still part of, the beat of the military to do. So that's not out of place, Yes, I also noted that you see, there's a lot of poverty in the land. There's poverty in the land, which has also aided, this crime. And of course, our various institutions too. Like people committing crime, and then they just get away with a slap on the wrist. These are some of the things that are not acceptable and that we should be looked into. I quite agree. And also, you look at the main issue that we still have, that of corruption, where somebody just, steals money that even his generations yet unborn cannot even spend, And all these monies are supposed to be channeled into development of our infrastructures. I give an example, like the roads, And then what about power, electricity, And then look at the area of graduates that are outside there without employment.
I'm going to have to hand over to my colleague in Lagos. He has a few questions for you. Ayo.
Let me begin, Colonel Larry, by the way, Happy New Year to you as well. Let me begin by asking you if you think we have been able to track the roots of all of these issues.
Well, Ayo, Happy New Year. Talking about tracking the roots of all of this issue, I think is something that is open. We all know that corruption is one of our main concerns, in this country, and we all see it. It's open to all. So I think it's a question that even you can also answer as we speak.
I really wish I can answer the question.
It's a common knowledge.
I really wish I can answer that question, Colonel. Because the reason I asked you the question pointedly is because, for instance, over the weekend, we were having a conversation with the CDS, and he was talking about the fact that, look, let the military do the military part and the politics do the politics side. That one of the issues that was also brought to the fore in that conversation is that it is common knowledge that sometimes prominent people in communities also foster some of the insecurity issues that we have. It's the reason that I'm asking that question. Because if we know the reason why some of these compromises happen sometimes, then we will be able to identify, okay, this is the problem and then this is the way to go about it.
Yeah, again, Ayo, let's go straight to it. I mean, look at the situation we have in the country. When we don't have enough policemen, to police the ordinary citizens, and then if anybody can pay the price, you can have, a battalion of policemen armed to the teeth, and whether these people have genuine sense of, source of livelihood or not, nobody cares. But as long as they can pay. So why should we have such a situation? I leave that to you to also answer.
Let me go to our other guest, on Zoom. At the end of the day, it will seem like it's the citizens that are cannon fodder in this matter. And unfortunately, we also put the lives of some of our citizens, the fellow citizens of Nigeria, at risk. How do we navigate this? Because sometimes it's the innocent civilian that has no idea what's happening, sleeps tonight, wakes up the following morning, it's a whole different world they woke up to. So we can't continue like this in 2025, can we?
Sorry, is that a question for me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, I'm sorry, I lost some audio when they connected you with Colonel. Okay. Now, when we look at the citizens of Nigeria and the opportunities for our young graduates to be part of the discussion, now, I have told people many times, sir, we have more than 7 universities that approved criminology and security studies for Nigerian students. We have these students that have passed out from the universities that are within employable age. Now, I expect the Inspector General of Police to do a sincere recruitment of tangible Nigerians that are ready to change the narrative of our policing. Go to these universities, send SMS to these students, and make them come back to the university premises and do the initial screening there by first identifying that they are really students of that same university. Then you begin to up the game on the welfare of the police, and you will see enough people. You need military for territorial integrity and occasional backup, but the police need to be enhanced. We also need to change the curriculum of the police. What they are using now is outdated. Most of the police officers that are my friends, they join us to do normal courses outside the police training scheme, you know, and the Ministry of Police Affairs, I think they have called me once or twice to follow them nationwide to talk to police officers. And I think that we have a lot of young people in Nigeria that are ready to change the narrative of policing, young patriotic Nigerians that are graduates, that are ready to wear that uniform, get a good payment, and change the story and discuss with the problem and the issues in Nigeria.
So at the end of the day, I mean, it would seem like even now the question of intelligence gathering is also an issue. I asked about the citizens because if security agencies are going to make a headway, any headway whatsoever, the citizens have to be involved. And the second link to that is that all security, or a lack of it, is local. So what is the role for citizens in helping the security agencies to gather intelligence? We are told that DSS officials are all over the place in every local government in the country, yet some of these issues would seem to have crept up on us. So what would be your solution to how citizens can be a part of the process?
I'm very, very grateful for this question. The only fear that I have now is that we'll only be talking into nothingness. There is nobody in responsible position that will be with pen and paper now to help this country. Now, let me tell you about citizens. Let's start from the simple ones. We have the PCROC, the Police-Citizen Relations. If you go to every police command, you will see civilians that are giving approval to form organizations called PCROC or something like that. I think it's Police Community Relations something. They have many people joining: mechanics, carpenters, doctors, lawyers, teachers. They are all members of that police and civilian community. Now, do you know what you can do with that? I have spoken to them more than 3-4 times, even in Lagos, you know, and we discovered that with their penetration, you could be able to gain trust. Because if I don't trust the police, I can trust the Oga near my house. I can trust the other Oga in my office who are members of that community and approach them with tangible action lines. Now, we also have retired police officers, DSS officers who have withdrawn back into the community. They have associations. We have military veterans who have been in active combat and should not be afraid to see a risky situation, go into it to support community relations with agencies. The police, the DSS, they can approach the retired community and they speak the same language and use that to communicate them with the civilians. I am retired now. I mix up with a lot of civilians and they can listen to me and embrace me, and I can be a bridge builder between the community and the agencies. So all of these things that we have now, these are opportunities upon opportunities. Let's look at the media itself. Do you know how many media people we have been able to train after they were killing journalists and all that during political crisis, and when they go for news gathering? We have trained them, and it's another community. Let's look at people like vulcanizers, mechanics. These are people that must repair vehicles or motorcycles for the criminals, you know, and they have intelligence and information. Look at hoteliers, sir. If we can build relationship with hoteliers, especially those in the outskirts, Do you know the kind of information secret cameras, recording devices can harvest? So we have a lot of opportunities. And I want to correct something you said. You said the DSS are everywhere in the local government. I beg them to forgive me, but I will tell you that the DSS are everywhere in the local government offices. If they are on the streets outside, I have not seen the effects of what they are doing.
Well, thank you. Well, Colonel Dari, one of the things that I heard Saheed David say right here now is that we need to be a lot more strategic. So speaking from a strategy perspective, he's talking about engaging citizens in strategic areas all across our various local governments, particularly in the hinterlands, hoteliers, vulcanizers, possibly even farmers. How well would you situate? Well, how do you think that can be situated in our security strategy? Add that to the fact that now local government administrations are supposedly more autonomous than before, even though there is an issue going on in Edo State at this time.
Thank you very much, Ayo. Because I was going to, request that I contribute to that question. Like we say, security is everybody's business. It's everybody's business. It's not the exclusive preserve of the security agencies, including the military. Now, the government has a role to also play here. There's need for enlightenment. We need to, to enlighten and propagate these things. On even the media. The media also has a role to play. You have a role to play here. Create a segment where you put out some advertisement where people are educated on how to report. When you see something, you say something, And of course, majorly, poverty is at the root cause of some of those things, because with little, inducement, people are ready to even sell their birthright for a pot of porridge, which is very, very unfortunate. So there's need to enlighten the citizens, to educate the citizens on the need for them, to be more committed, to be more loyal, to the country, because at the end of the day, it's going to be for our own common good. It's going to be for our common good.
I want you to get Mr. Ume to give us an idea of how that can be done, if he's still there. How do we teach citizens to be patriotic when they can't eat?
One of the things we talk about in security is to think about how you safeguard your values. Everybody have what they value, okay? And if you discover what the citizens value, you protect it. One of the things that Nigerians value is respect. When you respect a Nigerian, that means you take care of his wherewithal with the available resources as much as you take care of yourself. Right now, there is an imbalance. The son of a governor that is in the school with my son will not be talking to my son because he's the son of a governor. Why? Because of his opportunity to access the national purse, which is also a purse that I put in my taxes, from the money I also pay my child school fees. So the National Assembly, the Senate, the gamut of the hierarchy and the architecture of agencies and institutions that have access to government funds must be seen to live according to how every citizen lives. We buy food in the same market. We should access the same public schools. We should access the same flights, economy flights. We should also be seen to own the same kind of commensurate assets to the amount of money that we are paid as governors, as senators, as whatever. And this should be cut down to meaningful levels to meet with the economic viability of the country. When you begin to do that, the citizens will begin to trust you.
All right,
You know,
we have to anchor there. But I want to thank you very much for being with us on the program. It's an ongoing conversation. I think one that we'll have to have again. Thank you so much, Mr. Oemen Ohidiave, security consultant, joining us there from Texas. Thank you very much for being with us on the program.
It's always a pleasure.
And then, of course, Colonel Yomi Dare, retired. I mean, it's a precarious situation, and listening to everything that we've said today almost feels like we've gone round and come back to the same spot. That's off tangent. That has to happen for us to be able to enjoy a safer country is one that I think the conversation will have to continue. But I want to thank you very much for being with us on the program, and good luck with all the work you have ahead of you.
Thank you very much.
Colonel Yomi Dare there, former director of Nigerian Army Legal Services. It's time for Business Morning on Sunrise Daily. We'll be back 30 minutes after, and we'll be talking about the National Orientation Agency, so please stay with us.